Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Word and Spirit podcast, where we learn to live a life rooted in the Word of God, empowered by the Holy Spirit. We believe that it is in that intersection that we will truly live a purpose-filled, fruitful, and effective life. In this podcast, we will explore the practical wisdom and the truth of God's Word to navigate the various concerns and challenges that we have in life. We are launching this podcast on the theme of leadership, and we will be talking about different aspects of leadership throughout the month of February. We're excited to have our senior pastor of All People's Church, Pastor Ashish Raichur, with us. Welcome, Pastor. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time with us. So, Pastor, with over decades of experience, both previously in your business and now leading the church here, according to you, in your own words, what is the most fundamental and simple definition of leadership?
I think I always look at leadership as influence. I think we, as leaders, we are influencing the lives of people. And of course, hopefully it's for the better, right? It's to influence people for their personal good and also towards accomplishing a certain purpose in life. So leadership, broadly speaking, and I would see it as a privilege that we have to influence people for their good and also to accomplish something that has impact, meaning in this world. In whatever sense, whether it's in a business to build some products or services, or as a church to be able to serve people. Right? So that's what I would definitely look at leadership as, put it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Right. So also, Pastor, so when you talk about leadership, there are a lot of, I would say, characteristics and that are needed to be a good leader. And so what do you think are the traits or the qualities that are required to be a good leader, whether we're leading at home or even in a life group or in a church or even in the workplace? So what are some qualities or traits that are essential to be a good, effective leader?
Yeah. So I think one of the ways, at least in my mind, that I've tried to capture this, we call it, and I've did a sermon series on this in church as well, we call it the 4 C's of leadership. So when I think about leadership, first of all, we look at the character, the character aspect of the person, the leader themselves. Then we talk about the competencies of leadership. So a leader does have to have certain competencies, and we can outline those. And then there has to be compassion. That means the leader has to genuinely care for people, right? And through the good times and the bad times, through the nice times and the difficult times. But everything has to come from out of compassion. And then, of course, there is charisma, which is the influence that we spoke about. So when I think about leadership, I look at it in this framework of character, competence, compassion, and charisma. So if we, say for somebody to be a good leader, as individuals, as an individual, these 4 areas matter, and then growing in these 4 areas. Learning how to steward these 4 areas. As a leader, I need to be able to steward my own character throughout the course of this journey. I also need to continuously develop my competencies. We can outline those things. And then the compassion, I need to guard my heart, make sure that we're operating from a place of compassion. And then also steward the charisma, the influence, the honor, all that comes with leadership, the fame and the name and all those kind of things, just stewarding all of that. So being able to manage these 4 aspects, I think, is what typically a leader needs.
Right. That's wonderful. 4 C's of leadership. And something that really stuck for me is here at APC, we always say every believer is a minister.
True.
Right? And now when we have to get into leadership, there are, like we were talking about the 4 C's, but there's so much more in leadership. But what would you say to young people, especially if they want to get into leadership? And there's this sense of I'm not good enough, I'm not equipped enough. And with this role of leadership comes maybe the fear of responsibilities. So the question is, how can somebody step into leadership even before maybe they've not even seen that specific role? How do they step into that leadership?
I think some practical things that I would share on this. One is, it'll be great if young people have the opportunity to work under good leaders.
Yes.
There are some things that are taught, but a lot of it is just caught.
Yeah.
So yes, you can go and get a degree, an MBA or whatever. You can learn some things like academically or so on. But a lot of it is just absorbed by being around good leaders, being in that same atmosphere, same environment, because you're seeing this embodied, you're seeing this played out day to day. And so just, I would say that's the first thing. And just, if possible, and not everybody would have the opportunity, but if you have the opportunity, just be around good leaders. And, there's a lot that we can learn from it. The second, I would say, is to observe. A lot can be learned just by observing, rather than just letting, when you have leaders around you, and sometimes, young people are just focused on, okay, let me just do what I'm told. Well, that's part of it. You're getting your job done, but at the same time, if you're observing how the leader is working, conducting themselves, how they're making decisions, you're actually in a continuous learning, just by observing them and learning intentionally from them. The third thing I would say is just take on responsibilities. So the best way to learn is step into it. So even if you're given a small role, a small opportunity, say do this little thing, look at it as a learning opportunity. So these three things I would share. When we're young people, they're preparing to become a leader. If you could just put these three things into your lives, it can really prepare somebody for greater roles.
Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful. Pastor, you mentioned from the 4 C's character, and in your book, in the APC publication Code of Honor, you mentioned this point, and really stuck with me from the first time I read it. You say continuously strengthen your character, and we know out of the many definitions, character is something maybe who we are when nobody's watching us, or gifts and skills and talents take us up the ladder, but character keeps us there.
Correct.
So when it comes to character, we often know how to lead others. So especially when we take on this role of leadership, we settle in. And we are excited to take on, we're able to lead people. But why is it that leading yourself is the most important and most difficult part? Because we've seen over the years the rise and fall of many leaders in many ministries. I mean, they're wonderful on stage. They're able to preach and minister the word so powerfully. But let's say somewhere in their personal life, they've lost the, So what do you think, how can we lead ourselves, and why is it important to first be able to lead ourselves and then be able to lead others?
Yeah, I think this is so important. And just to, address one part of the question is, the reason, this emphasis on leading ourselves has been lost is, I think, because the focus has shifted on, the outcomes. Okay, how many people do you have, or what are the results? And the focus has shifted from who you are to, who we are as leaders, to what are we putting out? What are we achieving? And so, I think that some things that come to my mind, especially one is, as leaders in this context, is we need to be self-governing, that say, look, and we need to be, honest with our own selves, and we need to really govern our own selves. And I can think of the Apostle Paul. He said, in 1 Corinthians 9, I think verse 26, the end of that chapter, he says, I discipline myself, and I keep myself in subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should be discarded, So I think that awareness that, hey, while ministry is happening, things are happening, I need to govern myself, So that is so important. And Proverbs says, he who rules his own spirit is stronger than somebody who takes a city, So we're always looking at, okay, how many cities you conquer? But the real strength is, hey, can you govern yourself, right? And so if we keep that emphasis there that, hey, I need to govern myself. I need to watch over my own life. And I think the second thing is, it always to remind ourselves that the greatest way we lead is through example, The biggest way we influence people is by the life we live. Many times we think that the biggest way I influence people is through the words I speak or all the other things we do. But really, the biggest way we influence people is through the life we live. Like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 11:1, he tells the Corinthians, he says, imitate me as I also imitate Christ. So that he's putting on the challenge. He says, look, you look at my life and follow my example. Same thing he writes to the Philippians. In Philippians 3, he says, everything you've seen, heard, and learned from me, do that.
Do it.
That's powerful for a leader to be able to tell people, hey, whatever you've seen in me, whatever you've seen me do, right? You do that, And I think if we keep these two things, one is as a leader, I self-govern myself. I watch over my own life. And also, as a leader, I'm aware that the biggest message I can preach is the life I live. If we keep our focus on that, I think we can endure through time in our call and responsibility of leaders and not get sidetracked or fall or trip up on things. Yeah.
True. One thing that I've noticed here in APC as a ministry is we are always accountable, and even you have been always accountable, right? Accountable to what we are doing, the finances in the church, and even in terms of choosing leaders, there's always this sense of accountability. So it's safe to say, while leading ourselves, accountability is very, very important. Right. And again, Pastor, in the same book, you said this, and I love this as well. Code of Honor. I think Code of Honor is a book that all of us as leaders, I think, must read, and those even stepping into leadership must read it. It's a must-read book. A lifestyle, keep it simple. And you also said there's beauty in simplicity. And I think in a generation where there's so much of show and pomp and extravagance, you're defined by what you wear or what car you drive or even the number of followers that you have. This is, I think, a very important question as a person who's in leadership, growing in influence. How can I maintain a servant heart and walk in humility? It's easy when the ministry is small.
Sure.
But as you're growing and the ministry is growing, people, there's fame, people are recognizing you. How do I maintain a servant heart and walk in humility?
Yeah. Very good question. And I think, at least personally for me, the thing that really helps me, first of all, is to know that everything I have or we have has come from God. That we go before God and we humble us, keep our heart humble before God. Like Psalm 115 verse 1, it says, not unto us, O God, not unto us, but to your name be glory, Or like it says in Psalm 127, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it, right? So to keep that in mind that, look, I can work hard, I can do my part, but unless God gives the increase, all of this will amount to nothing, So ultimately, increase comes from God. Ultimately, the honor, the influence, everything that we have is a gift to us from God. And keeping our heart in that posture that, hey, everything has come from God, so we are accountable to God, staying in that place. The other thing that helps is, just to watch over our own hearts, that even the slightest deviation that I sense in my own heart or in my own life, I go back to God and recalibrate. It's like this, suppose we just a few degrees off, we just deviate a few degrees, and you keep going. Over time, that gap actually widened. So it's better to catch yourself even in that slightest deviation and recalibrate, get back into alignment. So how do we do that on a daily basis or a day-to-day basis? The moment I feel something wrong, maybe I said something out of pride, or sometimes I don't even know why I said it. What I said was not right. I go to before God, oh God, that was something was wrong, because what I said was not right. Is my heart right? Like how there's a psalmist prayer, Psalm 139, 23, 24 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me, O God, and know my thoughts. See if there's any wicked way in me and lead me in the right path. Just to go before God and say, God, something was wrong. Maybe my attitude was not right. Maybe I said something. Oh God, I need to get back.
Yes.
So if we can keep that, stay in that place, then, no matter how high God lifts us, no matter how big the ministry becomes, I think we would still be the same person after 30 years.
Yes.
You're still the same person because you kept yourself in that same place before God. I think that really helps us. Yeah.
Right. Pastor, thank you so much for sharing your heart with us.
Welcome.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very first episode on the podcast on leadership. If you are blessed, feel free to write to us, write a comment, and do like. Share this video with a friend who may benefit from this theme. And definitely join us next week, where we'll be talking about transitions in leadership. So looking forward to seeing you there. Have a blessed week ahead. God bless.